did this the Cowboy Vittles way.
Welcome back to another edition of Cowboy Vittles, a place you can call home, a place you can learn new recipes, a place that you can spend time in your kitchen with your family as you experiment with new recipes. Now today we're going to go ahead and make a wonderful biscuit and such. Now as you can tell, I'm getting low. I need to make some more, and I'm going to show you a couple of different recipes over the next couple days. Now originally, this has been around for several hundred years or so. They used to call them sea biscuits because they'd send them out there with the sailors, and they'd go ahead and mix this up in their soup. Later on, during the Civil War and stuff here in the U.S., well, let's face it, these soldiers needed that food and stuff because, as they say, an army walks on their belly and such as far as being able to eat. Then during World War I, World War II, they would go ahead and rename it to be pilot's bread. Nowadays, we just call them molar breakers, but it's an easy recipe. Now, I'm going to show you why they call it molar breakers. Take a look at this, folks, and listen to the sound. It will break your molars if your teeth ain't strong, but what folks would do, like the British sailors would do back in the 16, 17, and 1800s, they would go ahead and soak it in their coffee. They would soak it in their bread, their stews and their soups, and I actually even heard stories where they would actually soak it in their beer because, yes, they sent beer on ships with these folks. Now, I know just yesterday I had some chili and stuff, and I went ahead and threw a couple of these original biscuits in there, and it softened them up after a little bit of time. I was able to eat them just fine. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's put this away now that you know what these things are. Put that aside. Now what you're going to need, you're going to need your mixing bowl. You're going to need some all-purpose flour. You're going to need some table salt. You're going to need a little bit of water. We're going to start off with about 4 cups of all-purpose flour. And this is the original recipe of what the hardtack was. There's 1. Here's 2. Now this recipe will give you about 20 to 24 crackers depending upon the size that you decide. And there's my dog again. She's looking, going, got anything for me? So there's 4. Now let's take this flour off to the side. We don't need that. Now, I told you this recipe is simple. We just need our flour. We're going to take some of this table salt, which you can use sea salt, and we're just going to need 1 tablespoon of that. We're going to dump this in here. Get out of here, Hope. Dump that in there. Kick that off to the side. Now, unlike bread dough, pie dough, biscuit dough, things like that, this does not take much kneading and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and take this 1/4 cup of water and we're going to throw it in here. Now the other things that you're going to need as you get going, you're going to need something to poke some holes in there because you need that hot air in your oven to get it going and stuff as far as cooking it properly. You're going to need a rolling pin, meaning don't use this on me later on. We're going to put that down. Now let's get this out of the way. Now I'm going to go ahead and knead this on down. Get that all gelled together. And it might look in the beginning that only 1/4 cup of water isn't enough, but as you start to knead it for, 3 to 5 minutes, it depends. you know, you're going to see that all start to come together. Let's get this going. Let's get her done. Lee, this is definitely not for the faint of heart as far as when you get old. Alrighty, so we've got our flour and we've got our salt and we got everything else in there. Now we've already put in 1/4 cup of water. Now it's time to go ahead and throw in another 1/4 cup of water. This should be just about right. Oh, my hands are getting gooey already. That's the reason I wear gloves, because you know what, folks? I hate to clean my fingers and such without the gloves on, because that dough gets right in there and it takes me forever and a day to go ahead and get it out. So oh, there we go. We're coming along just fine now. Well, we're down to the end of it. Almost done kneading this after about 4 or 5 minutes. Now I'm going to take this out of this bowl. I'm going to put it on my board here. Let's get that out of the way so you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm down to the last few moments. And as you can see, it didn't take me 10 or 15 minutes of kneading time to get this done. Now, what I'm going to do, let me set this back over here for just a moment. Let me get some of my all-purpose flour. Get that out of the way too. Let me sprinkle this on my board. And I'm going to sprinkle some in my cookie tray, because we're going to need that. We don't want to stick it. Now, let's get this thing back out here. It's time to get my wife's favorite thing to hit me with. And we're going to roll this thing out. And we're going to roll this down into about 1/3 of an inch. And they will fluff up a little bit, but not a ton. But you only want it, oh, maybe 1/4 to at most 1/3 of an inch. Boy, oh boy. And I know a lot of folks hold it by the handles, but you know what? I can put more pressure on this rolling pin, just rolling it out like this. Whew. Now, one thing about these hardtack biscuits, as I mentioned, you can put them in there into your soups, your stews, your chilies, whatever, and they will go ahead and soften up. But the longer you keep them, and as I mentioned, I've heard of stories of where they'll last up to 75 years without refrigeration or whatever. But the longer you keep them, the harder they get. Now with me, I don't want them to break a tooth. I'm getting old, my teeth ain't as good. Alright. I'm going to cut a little bit of this off here and throw that back into my bowl, and I'll work that out in a little while. I need some more space. Throw that in there. Love my pizza cutter. Helps me to form the things I need. Alright. Almost there. And you know the thing about it? Yeah, my nose itched. My dog even likes eating these, which I don't give her a lot because I don't know how healthy it is for a dog to eat flour type based stuff. But I give her it as a treat periodically, because you know what? I ain't gonna go spend $7 or $8 for a pack of treats there that I can go ahead and use a little bit of my elbow grease and maybe 50 cents worth of product. And she'll just sit there and she'll chomp on them. Now let's flip this over again. Now let's go ahead and cut them down into the proper size. And yes, I'll go ahead and reuse that dough and stuff. So don't worry about that if you have a little bit sitting off to the side, because you can roll that back out again. Now what we're going to do, like I say, I take it typically 2.5 to 3 inch dills. A lot of folks might use their forks and stuff, but I use bamboo skewers. And we're going to go ahead and start poking some holes in these things. I want you to take a look. Now we've done it to that side there, but what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and flip it over, and you'll be able to see the puncture marks on the other side, and so we'll make it even. Okay, now we're going to pop them into this pan here that's already got some flour coated on it. And we're going to do up all the rest of these here. However, on the next episode, those are done. We're going to show you how to make high protein biscuits. And when I say high protein, for the same biscuits, because you're going to put in some different ingredients that you normally wouldn't. As an example, they're going to be made out of wheat flour and a few other ingredients. One of these biscuits on the high protein one is only 25 calories, so it's not like it's going to make you fat, but it's got a little bit different flavor and such. You know, so for survivalists or someone who just wants a little bit different flavor on it, go ahead and try them. You'll love them. You know, even my neighbors, they like these things. Of course, I think one of them broke a tooth earlier this week on some of them. Of course, she was an old gal. But I tried to warn her, put them in your soup, put them in your stew, do whatever, soften them up, dunk them in your coffee or your tea. Folks, they just don't listen to me, because if they've never had them, they just don't know. Let me show you what the final product looked like after 50 minutes at 375 degrees. Well, she's done, folks. And my jug is almost done. I'm wondering where my dog is. Listen now. As hard as a tack. You know, but that's looking awful good. And it'll last me 75 years if I don't eat it right away. But you know what? I think I'm going to take me a little bit of a taste of this and hope I don't break a tooth. Yep. That's original hardtack. I'm gonna leave that one there for my for after I get done putting these away. You hear that noise as I drop them in there? That's why they call it hardtack. And look at my jars getting filled back up again. Only got one more set to do, and I'll be good to go. I'm gonna show you what that jar looks like after I get her all put in there. There we go. That's, I don't know. I think I might be able to get about 60 of these puppies in there, and that'll last us for quite a while. So, if you like what we've done today, I want you to go ahead and click on the like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below as well. Follow us on social media. But in the meantime, Cowboy Vittles, come and get them.